Hello my little gremlins and welcome back to the Greaves channel, where I honestly believe that I deserve a purple heart for this week's Slopic, because we're watching a Harman Smith video. Kill me. If you don't know who Harman is, can I join you? But here's your heads up on old Harley. Harman Smith likes Nintendo. A lot. You know that one video of Sonic having sex with Mario? Swap that with Harman. He will basically take any game, new or old, and if it isn't tied to a Nintendo product, then that game deserves to be sent to the 19th layer of hell. And today, we're covering his take on the Resident Evil 4 remake. It's bad. So buckle up and try not to kill yourself. Also, just a quick note, I won't judge him for getting any details wrong about the remake, as this was during the hype before it came out. I'm still gonna rinse him, don't worry, I'm gonna be fair. Oh, and because I will talk about the original and the remake, I'll be calling the original Resident Evil 4 or RE4, and the remake Resident Evil 4 Remake or RE4R. With everything out of the way, it's time.
So right now, there are a number of game journalists and YouTubers like getting excited over Resident Evil 4 Remake coming out in the next couple of weeks. They're not really willing to admit to themselves that the game has a lot of problems yet. You know, this was apparent even from playing the demo, but like, you know, seeing gameplay footage online, seeing like what's happened with like the AI and the structure and the pacing, I think they made the island worse. I think they removed one of the bosses. I think they've done this.
Alright, first off, buddy, the AI is worse? No. I'm not going to talk about the whole game, as again, wasn't out at the time, I'm trying to be nice. But the demo was out, and it basically let you play from the first encounter all the way to bingo. And the AI is far better. I'm not even trying to be subjective. In RE4, if a Gnado sees you, they point and yell, giving you ample time to shoot them and run past. As well as this, their attacks weren't that bright. In the remake, I can't really describe it, but the Gnados are much more brutal, and not really giving you much time to breathe, being incredibly overwhelming, and it's amazing. I won't talk much about the gameplay as it's purely subjective and neither is better or worse. And hang me, I actually agree with Harman. I kind of prefer the original, having you stop and wait is cool. But then we get to the island comment. To begin with, I hate the island. It never felt like it fit with the overall tone of the game. You had medieval villages, castles, and a modern day militaristic island. Didn't really fit, you know? And I think the remake rectified that to a degree. There's a lot more areas that look the same, but that the soldiers just took over it. I like it. Also, hot take, but Youth is overrated. I didn't even notice he was gone.
You know, I've seen like a footage of a guy just like standing in front of a Ganados. And he's just like looking straight at Leon. There's no like barriers in between them or anything.
And I've had Ganados kill themselves in the original. You're cherry picking. Also, by the way, notice that he didn't say this was something he saw while he played. Maybe because it's a rare bug. It's not like the entire game just has Ganados do nothing but stay still and you shoot them.
Shut the fuck up.
Cool. Right now, you're still seeing a lot of people getting angry at me, Cody Lee, for pointing this out, for pointing out that this game did not need to be remade, for pointing out this remake is not particularly well made or particularly evolves the original in any way, shape, or form.
My brother in Christ. They evolved the gameplay. They added new enemies, that being the funny little ball guys. They added new features like the merchant requests. They evolved the treasure system by letting you mix and match different small treasures like rubies, emeralds, etc. Different treasures to sell to the merchant. The merchant has been evolved. You can trade spinels, which you get from the merchant request, for different items. There's a ton of new weapons you can craft ammo in for. You can store weapons with the typewriter. The fucking parry system. But no, I don't think the remake evolved anything apart from graphics.
Right now, the only reason people are hyping this up is because it's the hot new thing to hype up.
No, because it's a remake of one of the most influential games of all time. But if Nintendo made a remaster of Mario 64, it didn't change anything apart from the graphics. You and I both know you'd slap that Nintendo slap up like a good boy Shigeru Miyamoto wants you to be.
People who ate up crap like Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil Remake 3, like, they're going to eat this up too.
Shoe goes on the other foot, my friend. Look, I know RE4R is out, but I know for a fact that if RE9 or RE5 Remake comes out, even if it's shit, I'm gonna play it because I'm in too deep, because I'm a fan. That's the difference between you and I, Harman, because I can admit when the stuff I like is bad. For example, here's some god-awful Resident Evil games. Resident Evil Survivor, Resident Evil Gun Survivor 2, Code Veronica. Dead Aim is good. I will hear no further questions. Resident Evil Gaiden. Resident Evil 5 is pretty mid in my opinion. Resident Evil 6 is my least favourite game of all time. And Resident Evil 3 Remake personally burnt down my house and killed everything I know and love. Please, this is a PSA. If you ever get autistic about something, please know what makes the series good or bad. What the company makes is good or bad. Because those exist, and if you understand their shortcomings, you will know what would happen if they improved.
It really does feel like at this point the hype train has no real momentum behind it. It feels like once the game actually comes out and people actually start talking about it, like it's actually going to like fall off a cliff.
Literally every Resident Evil game is still talked about. Right, I'm gonna go on OBS and screen record my results on Look at Resident Evil on YouTube. Hit that, Harman. God, I hate this video.
Genuine interest in it. Like, it only exists as a vehicle to weaponize against Nintendo fans.
What? I4 exists to fuck with Nintendo fans? I don't know what I'm meant to say to that. Like, no? Does that mean every game that isn't on a Nintendo is to mess with Nintendo fans? Not just to make money? I'm so confused.
And we're already kind of seeing like some YouTubers kind of like get kind of snippy about this because like Capcom's not allowing them to release certain information. Susie Hunter has not been allowed to release his video on this. He was bitching about this on Twitter. There was, he's read the fine print, guys. Apparently, he doesn't read the contracts. Capcom forced him to take the video down.
Unsurprising news. Harman Smith is transphobic. Whoa. If you don't know who he's talking about Sphere Hunter. Don't know why he's calling her Susie Hunter. She's Sphere Hunter or Susie Sphere Hunter. Anyway, that doesn't matter. He's just misgendering her for no reason. Like, he's calling her Susie. He knows she identifies as a woman. The reason this pissed me off at first is because I really like her stuff. And I originally didn't know she was trans when I started watching her. And when I did, I found myself a newfound comfort from watching her content. Also, not gonna lie, you kind of have to dig to find she's trans. This woman passes so well, so Susie, give me your looks. But back to the point. Harman makes out like Sphere Hunter leaked all the stuff Capcom cut. My guy, she literally just used footage from the stuff they didn't want shown because it was new stuff. That's literally all.
And of course, I've talked about the pacing problems and just the lack of challenge in the gameplay.
Do you know why you found the demo so easy, Harman? Because 1, it set a standard difficulty where if you start a new game or Valve4R, the game says if you play the original, pick hardcore. 2, it's the first level. It's not going to be waterhole levels of challenging.
Oh, that's another thing I've been seeing is like people denying that Resident Evil 4 was a GameCube exclusive. It was. First of all, this was designed for the GameCube. The inferior PS2 version suffers a lot of frame rate problems and has blurry issues and doesn't look anywhere near as good.
Everyone, Harman's right. Shut up and let me explain. Right, yeah, the original GameCube version looked really good. It was the better console between that and the PS2. Didn't change the fact that it was still detrimental to Capcom. If you don't know, Capcom had an exclusivity deal with Nintendo to make 3 games for the platform: Remake, RE0, and RE4. And they all sold terribly. This is because little Timmy isn't going to be suitable for a game with gore, and Mega Jim, the hardcore gamer, isn't going to want to play Mario, and may not have the money for a console just to play Resident Evil, which is why the PS2 version is more appropriate, because it's just better for the target audience, as that hardware had more mature rated games, which is why there's never been more Nintendo exclusives for Resident Evil, aside from spin-offs like Mercenaries 3D and Deadly Silence.
So yeah, the GameCube version was the definitive version of the game until the Wii version came out, and that is the definitive version of the game.
No the fuck it isn't. I'm sorry, the game wasn't made with motion controls in mind, and the idea of that is dumb. I think the definitive way to play a game is using the method it was intended with, a controller. I use mouse and keyboard just out of preference. I'll flip this onto Harman's favor. The definitive way of playing Silent Hill Shattered Memories is the Wii version. It was made for the Wii, and doing motion controls with a controller is pretty janky. I don't know, I think the definitive way to play a game is the original hardware. I know that's hard to come by, so I make exceptions for accessibility and also preservation, so ports or emulation is fine to me. But I don't think you can be high and mighty for a port that the game wasn't made for. By that logic, Harman, a VR version of RE4 is actually the best because immersion.
Successful to begin with. Talk about disrespecting the fans. Talk about not living up to your iconic legacy and releasing on a real piece of hardware.
I'm assuming he means the Switch and not the GameCube, but still. My guy, if you played RE4R on a Switch, your Switch is gonna explode. The Switch is an underpowered console as is, barely running fucking Pokemon. Capcom would have to do some heavy work to make the port even runnable on a Switch, and that's just not worth the time investment. As well as that, my argument stands. I don't think games with massive amounts should be on the same platform targeted for children. Also, by the way, Harman, you know what makes your point even funnier? RE4 is on the Switch, and it's the HD remaster. Just play that. I couldn't give a toss about console wars. Play what platform you want. I don't care. I just want the game to be runnable and good. As well as that, exclusives are dumb. I think games should be on as many platforms as they can, considering they work. So I'm glad I know why you hate RE4R so much. It's not exclusively on Nintendo, and it made Mario cry. If you like what I do on the Greaves channel, subscribe or something. I don't care anymore. Main channel, watch it. Discord, join it. Bye.